dinner or meal between the two. It's happened in the past. We can't rule out whether that would happen before day after tomorrow the President of France returns.
While you've mentioned about defense and AI, we have to talk about the cultural ties, like you also pointed out. The India-France Inauguration 2026, which will be inaugurated in around 15 minutes from now. And also, a short while ago, we showed the viewers about the images of the French President and the First Lady of France meeting the Bollywood stars, perhaps showing the camaraderie when it comes to cultural ties between India and France.
Well, you know, I mean, these are atmospherics in a relationship. It's not really the substance of the relationship. We did, for example, see the French president go on a run earlier on today. That's something that Prime Minister Modi acknowledged as well. It's a close relationship between the two sides. There's obviously an interest as far as Bollywood is concerned. There always has been. And so, you know, a meeting between the French president and Bollywood superstars at a time when he is in Mumbai is perhaps expected. But that cultural center is something that, you know, I mean, is of interest. But I dare say this entire visit is primarily sort of revolving around artificial intelligence and AI and the entire host of conversations which take place over here, and indeed defense, as we've discussed.
Well, absolutely. But while we spoke, we showed those visuals of the body language of both the leaders. Vishnu, tell us about how significant is this visit, fourth visit by the French president to India, especially with all the headwinds and the geopolitical uncertainty that we're witnessing today.
Well, for starters, India and France don't have any headwinds or any geopolitical uncertainties which plague the relationship. It's been an incredibly stocked relationship. It's been a relationship where France is among India's largest exporters of weaponry. Several key systems, in fact, are closely involved. Several French companies are closely involved in working with Indian companies for the sale of weaponry. We talk about Dassault, we talk about Thales, we talk about Safran, that's an engine manufacturer, looking to get into a very major defense deal. There is the Hammer guided weapon, which is something which will be manufactured in India by Bharat Electronics Limited. So that's one system that's on the cards. The Meteor missile, a primary air-to-air missile of the French, which has been in service with the Indian Air Force, including, as I understand, during Op Sindoor. Those are all major sales which have taken place. The Scalp missile system as well, which I believe hit several targets in Pakistan during the entire process. That's something, Operation Sindoor, that's something that, you know, I mean, both sides would certainly be looking at very, very closely. Indeed, in terms of future orders, in fact, there is, you know, I mean, more of these which are being acquired. Apart from that, there is the educational link between India and France. France, while it's not certainly a country of choice for Indian students, does see a fair number travel every single year. Indians across the board traveling to Europe as part of that Schengen process would like to see visa approvals happen quicker and sooner, and that with fewer conditionalities. But that's a larger issue, but certainly something that both sides know is one that impacts people on both sides. And then, of course, there's that personal chemistry. Now, as far as India and Europe is concerned, our equation with Europe is increasingly different from our relationship with America, which some would say is becoming increasingly transactional. With France, there is a lot of dedicated, genuine tech sharing, whether it comes to AI or nuclear reactors or a lot more, which is why, I mean, let's see what emerges in that joint statement.
Absolutely. But like you mentioned, a host of issues will be discussed and MOUs will be signed. Let's also get in my colleague Aditya Rajkar, who's joining me live from Bharat Mandapa. Aditya, while Vishnu has lamented the defense ties, which is at the epicenter, and artificial intelligence, tell us about the cultural ties as well. Of course, we saw that hug and the handshake between both the leaders. And a short while ago, we also had the visuals of the French president and the First Lady of France meeting all the Bollywood stars there. The camaraderie and how the cultural ties, the people-to-people ties between both the countries is only strengthening.
Well, that's right, Rahesha. There's been people-to-people contact between France and India. There's a strategic partnership, but above all, there's a bonhomie that is being spoken about repeatedly between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and French President Macron. Immediately after he landed here, there were warm hugs, there were handshakes that happened at the Lok Bhavan where they met in Mumbai. There is a 3-day plan laid out for this very important and significant visit of the French president, where at the Lok Bhavan there are strategic bilateral talks that are underway. We'll have the joint statement perhaps in a couple of hours from now, giving details of the entire ambit of the understandings and the relationship bilaterally between France and India, from innovation and AI and technology partnership to defense and strategic affairs, and then health, agriculture, pharmaceuticals, and several other areas, including the aeronauticals are a very significant part of it. Even as we speak about the Modi-Macron chemistry in Mumbai, there is of course the Airbus assembly line that will be inaugurated in Bengaluru as well. Apart from that, Macron comes to Delhi tomorrow, where we'll have a very significant day planned. We'll have the grand, red carpet gala dinner that will happen here at the Bharat Mandapam of all the global leaders and CEOs and heads of the states who will come here at the AI summit right behind me, the main epicenter, which is the Bharat Mandapam. There will be the family photograph, but Macron has a lot of side events. Apart from in Mumbai, he's meeting the CEOs of companies who are into innovation. He'll meet a lot of Bollywood personalities there as well. And then in Delhi, he will sign a health agreement, which is incorporating AI in health. So that would be very, very significant and interesting. Apart from that, also, there are other events that are planned out for the French president here in Delhi when it comes to people-to-people contact and other significant, diplomatic measures. So a very packed schedule for the leaders. But today is the day when the significant brass tacks happens, and we'll know what the both countries have agreed on scaling up the industrial ties and otherwise in a couple of hours from now.
Absolutely, Aditya. It's the French connection only getting stronger between India and France. Vishnu, if I can come to you, you've elaborated on the defense deal, which is at the epicenter. Talk to us more about how France right now is seeking to expand its military partnership with India, because at this point of time, India is not only just buying equipment from France, but will also be jointly making.
So France has always been a very close partner of India when it comes to military. And let's look at the air forces of both sides and look at the aircraft platforms that India has historically operated. One of the first fighter aircraft that the Indian Air Force acquired in the 50s was the Uragan. Then there was the Alizé. Then there was the Tufani, which was acquired. Then there was the Jaguar. Then the Mirage 2000. Then the Rafale. Then we've had Chetak and Cheetah helicopters. So, this is just decades of aircraft which I've just named, which have done service for the Indian Air Force. And so now when India acquires more Rafale aircraft, it's perhaps part of a process where Dassault has been part of India's military aviation for so many decades. It's an incredible link. But that's just one part of it, and just one more point on that. In as much as we keep talking about our equation through the decades with the Russians, just looking at this expanse of contracts with France, there's a real history there as well. So what the French are looking at now is also to step up on engine manufacture of jet engines. That's the holy grail of military engineering. So Safran, the engine manufacturing major of France, might be getting into a process over here in India. So there are talks which are on. Let's see how those progress.
Right, Vishnu. Coming to you, Aditya, this is the first visit of the French president after the mother of all deals was signed between India and the European Union. Tell us more about that and as to how the ties between India and France is only getting stronger. Of course, this is the French president's visit after a year before which the Prime Minister Modi visited France when the AI summit took place there.
That's right, Rahesha. This is the fourth visit of the French President Emmanuel Macron, even as NDTV continues with the marathon coverage here at the Bharat Mandapam. A lot of diplomatic hectic activities taking place both in Delhi and Mumbai. A lot of world leaders have now started coming in and trickling down in both these important cities, Delhi and Mumbai. A lot of them in Bengaluru as well, because that is in many ways the IT capital, apart from a lot of emphasis on Telangana and Andhra. Here, of course, we'll see hectic activities over the next 2 days. But right now, the focus is in Mumbai, where Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the French President Macron are meeting. There are a lot of issues that are being discussed, from trade to energy ties, and of course, significantly people-to-people contact, but the most crucial being the defense and the strategic cooperation. You also spoke about how artificial intelligence has been incorporated into this relationship. You would remember last year, Prime Minister Narendra Modi had visited France, and being part of that important AI summit that was hosted by France. That was the third summit after UK, South Korea, and finally third was the France. The fourth and the most significant global summit is taking shape right behind me here at the Bharat Mandapam, and that's what they will be speaking about. Of course, the mother of all deals is the big backdrop of this entire summit. We had the entire EU leadership just a few weeks ago visiting Delhi and finally signing that deal. That came after a year-long turbulence, economic disruptions taking shape globally. And that really forced India and EU to come together, pushed them together in many ways, because that entire deal, entire framework was being discussed for almost 2 decades. And that will be a significant part of the discussion between Prime Minister Modi and the French President Macron, taking the relationship when it comes to trade, commerce, industry, and investments forward. And in these meetings with CEOs of companies that deal with innovation and of course Bollywood as well, trade, commerce, and films will be the big talking point. So we are looking towards a lot of side events. We are looking towards a lot of soft power also on display, apart from the defense and the strategic cooperation between India and France.
Right, absolutely. And just to add to that, India and France have completed 26 years of partnership. It's a strong bond that both the countries share. Vishnu, if I can come to you, talk to us more about India's Rafale journey, because we are we are anticipating that big ticket deal between India and France.
So do you want India's Rafale journey in the form of a book, or do you want it in the form of a 2-minute answer? You're going to have to tell me that, because I've tracked that story that closely.
2-minute answer, of course.
So the entire process began when India wanted... you're eating into my time. The entire process started in the late 90s when India wanted an aircraft to add on to the Mirage 2000 fleet. It was called the MRCA process. A couple of years later, that became the MMRCA process. That then stretched on all the way till approximately 2016. I'm talking about the late 90s to 2016. Before that MMRCA process was entirely scrapped, and India went into a deal with the French for 36 Rafale aircraft, meeting just a fraction of its actual requirements. That then changed with the Indian Air Force once again telling the government that they wanted at least 114 more planes, and then that process became called the MRFA process, or the multi-role fighter aircraft project. Just last week, that multi-role fighter aircraft project sort of moved ahead with an acceptance of necessity for one aircraft, and one aircraft alone, the Rafale. In other words, all of the other competitors in this deal were actually taken out of that shortlist process. Now, once that acceptance of necessity, progresses into a deal stage, which should take between 6 months to 1 year, it'll still be a couple of years before India gets this batch of 114 jets. One final point: last year, the Indian Navy did sign a contract with Dassault for 26 naval variants of the Rafale, which will do service on our aircraft carriers.
Well, that was within 2 minutes, Vishnu. But coming to you, Aditya, Vishnu, they're giving us a lowdown of strong defense ties between India and France. But Aditya, this meet, these bilaterals which are underway between India and France, it will perhaps shape the next ties between India and France, because what we're looking at right now is not just defense. It's AI, it's clean energy, and it's strong cultural ties between both the countries. And of course, the camaraderie and the bonhomie between both the leaders.
Well, I can't possibly do justice to the mammoth 30 years experience of Vishnu Soam, but I'll do my bit when it comes to diplomacy and what I have seen over the last decade or so. And that is significantly the bonhomie between Prime Minister Modi and the French President Macron. From Paris to New Delhi or other multilateral forums recently, when they had met, he joked about, Prime Minister Modi joked about the French President having a Twitter fight or a tiff over some diplomatic issue. Recently we've had issues over the Greenland also framing up on the sidelines of the Davos. We saw a lot of angry remarks from the European leaders, including the French President Macron, on this entire issue. But there seems to be some diplomacy at play as of now on that issue. It's important to also mention, apart from the gamut of issues between India and France, from technology to strategic affairs to defense to people contact, there would be significant geopolitical issues also that would be discussed. And two of them, one, of course, the Russia-Ukraine issue, where India has said that this is is not an era of war. Solutions cannot be found in the battlefield. And India has engaged with both Putin and Zelensky. On the other front, with Iran, India has very robust bilateral cooperation with Iran. India has very important strategic partnership with Israel and has been, of course, a very important strategic partner of United States over the last 2 decades. So Iran and Russia, Ukraine would be perhaps discussed when Modi meets Macron, and that meeting is taking place right now. Any minute we can get a glimpse of a joint statement, either verbal or in the form of a text, that would lay the entire, gamut of understanding that they've reached in the last couple of hours and what they look towards possibly to achieve in the next 1 year. And that will significantly have an imprint of technology, artificial intelligence, innovation, and new tech and emerging technologies that would be the big talking point in these joint statements. There could be further collaboration that we could see in areas of health, agriculture, pharmaceuticals, in aeronauticals as well that we expect. So that's the big talking point. As I said, immediately after the joint statement, we'll have a couple of meetings that the French president has lined up in Mumbai with CEOs, with global leaders when it comes to corporate world who are based in Mumbai, and of course from the world of Bollywood, from the world of Indian cinema.
Absolutely.
So the Durandars of the Indian cinema will be meeting the French president, and we could possibly see some collaboration on that front as well.
Right, and it's of course the Namaste Bonjour moment for all of us here, but thank you so much for joining us here on Prime 5 and getting us the latest. All right, from one big story to the other, Bangladesh turns a decisive political page today as BNP chief Tariq Rahman takes oath as the Prime Minister, making the return of a powerful political dynasty to office. In a historic first, Rahman has become Bangladesh's first male Prime Minister in 32 years. India was represented by Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla and Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri, underscoring New Delhi's strong engagement with Dhaka amid the latest tensions. The key question now remains, number one, will Dhaka-Delhi ties see a reset? Can Rahman bridge deep political divisions within Bangladesh? And how will he navigate economic pressures and regional geopolitics as he begins his term? And well, my colleague Saurabh is now joining me live from Dhaka. Saurabh, big question remains as Tariq Rahman has taken oath as the Prime Minister of Bangladesh.
That's right. He's taken oath. He's now the Prime Minister of Bangladesh. And of course, his cabinet is also taken oath, both ministers of state and cabinet ministers. And this is an interesting mix of cabinet, given the fact that one of the surprising elements really was that Khalilur Rahman, who was the NSA, the National Security Advisor to Mohammad Yunus's interim government, has also taken oath as a minister now. And that means what is being said is that he's going to be getting the Foreign Affairs portfolio, which means he will become Foreign Affairs Minister of Bangladesh. And remember, Khalilur Rahman is someone who, of course, is well known, well versed with the, with diplomacy, with foreign affairs. And also, he's someone who's visited Delhi very recently. In November 2025, for the Colombo Security Enclave, Khalilur Rahman was in Delhi at a time when India's relationships with Bangladesh was at a low. He was one of the high-ranking officials to visit New Delhi and hold talks with Foreign Minister S. Jaishankar and India's National Security Advisor Ajit Doval. So, in a sense, he's someone who's seen as an expert in foreign policy and someone India can talk to, have a conversation with. And that's why, of course, it's important given the fact that India is looking at a reset with ties with Bangladesh. In fact, Prime Minister Narendra Modi sent a very warm message to Tariq Rahman after his party won the majority. Today, representing India and Prime Minister Modi is Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla, who's expected to have a bilateral with Tariq Rahman as well. Tariq Rahman, after taking oath, is meeting the foreign leaders who are attending his oath ceremony, including the Bhutan Prime Minister and several other, top ministers who are attending this oath-taking ceremony that was held a short while ago at the south lawns of the Bangladesh Parliament. And this ceremony has multiple firsts. the first in the presence of foreign leaders, the first being held open air, many things. But important to note is Tariq Rahman is someone who is showing he's not a pushover, nothing can be dictated. In fact, one of the things that the interim government tried to bulldoze, which is making members of parliament take oath as constitutional reform council members as well, that is something the BNP has rejected outright. They say they will implement the July Charter, the document that was also voted a yes in the referendum held alongside elections. But Tariq Rahman making his priorities clear.
Right, Saurabh, giving us a lowdown of what Tariq Rahman's win means for India. That was my colleague Saurabh joining us live from Dhaka. Well, after decades of dynastic politics and dramatic upheaval, Bangladesh now has a new Prime Minister. Tariq Rahman takes charge after his Bangladesh Nationalist Party, BNP, secured a clear majority in the elections. At 60, Rahman becomes the first male Prime Minister in 32 years and the latest torchbearer of one of Bangladesh's most powerful political dynasties. Our next report, thank you more.
For Tariq Rahman, politics was never a choice. It was inheritance. He is the son of former Prime Minister Khaleda Zia and former President Ziaur Rahman, the founder of Bangladesh Nationalist Party. His father, a war hero turned president, was assassinated in a military coup in 1981 when Rahman was just a teenager. 2 decades later, in 2001, Rahman formally stepped into politics during his mother's second term as Prime Minister. By 2002, he had risen to a senior position within the BNP. The opposition called it brazen nepotism. Supporters called it natural succession. Rahman developed a reputation as an enforcer, a man who tightened party discipline and consolidated control. But controversy followed closely behind. In 2007, during a military-backed caretaker government, Rahman was arrested on corruption charges. He claimed he was tortured in custody. After 18 months in prison, he was released and left for London, entering what would become a 17-year exile. Reports suggested he had agreed to step away from politics to secure his departure. Yet from abroad, Rahman remained central to BNP's strategy. In 2018, after Khaleda Zia was jailed, Rahman became the party's acting chairman. Meanwhile, under then Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, he faced multiple cases, including allegations related to a deadly 2004 grenade attack. He denied all accusations and was later cleared of charges. On December 25, 2025, Rahman returned to Bangladesh. 5 days later, his mother passed away. On January 9th, he officially became BNP chairman. Now, with an electoral mandate secured, Rahman faces his greatest challenge yet. Can a leader shaped by exile and controversy unite a divided nation? Can he move beyond legacy and define his own chapter? Bureau Report, NDTV.
Well, getting you some breaking news at this point of time. US-Iran tensions continue to simmer. Iran has now threatened to sink US warships. And well, the joint media briefing is coming in after the bilaterals. Take a listen.
The year 2026 also marks the India-France Year of Innovation. We will begin the event with the witnessing the virtual inauguration of the H-125 helicopter final assembly line at Vemagal in Karnataka, which has been set up by Tata Advanced Systems in partnership with Airbus. Defense Minister Shri Rajnath Singh and Her Excellency Ms. Catherine Vautron, the Minister for Armed Forces of France, are present at the venue. We begin with a screening of a short video in this regard.
जब फ्रांस की टेक्नोलॉजी और भारत का टैलेंट मिलेगा तो सिर्फ बिजनेस लैंडस्केप ही नहीं, ग्लोबल ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन होगा।
I now request Prime Minister Modi and President Macron to virtually inaugurate this H-125 helicopter final assembly line by jointly pressing the button. We will now have live visuals from the site in Karnataka. This concludes the inauguration ceremony of the H-125 final assembly line facility. I would request the two leaders to return to their respective podiums. I would like to inform that Prime Minister Modi will be addressing the media in Hindi. Members of the audience may use the audio device provided to them to listen to the translation in French language. I now request the spokesperson of the Ministry of External Affairs to conduct the rest of the proceedings.
Namaskar, good evening. Your Excellency, Mr. Emmanuel Macron, President of the French Republic, Honorable Prime Minister of India, Shri Narendra Modi, Honorable Ministers, members of both delegations, distinguished guests, and friends from the media. We will now have the press statements. May I request Honorable Prime Minister of India, Shri Narendra Modi, to give his remarks to the media.
Your Excellency, my dear friend, प्रेसिडेंट मैक्रो, दोनों देशों के डेलीगेट्स, मीडिया के साथियों, नमस्कार। bonjour। मेरे प्रिय मित्र प्रेसिडेंट मैक्रो का मुंबई में स्वागत करते हुए मुझे बहुत खुशी हो रही है। पिछले वर्ष उन्होंने मुझे फ्रांस में आयोजित AI एक्शन समिट के लिए बुलाया था। उस समय हमने मार्सेई की यात्रा की, जो फ्रांस का सबसे बड़ा पोर्ट और फ्रांस और पूरे यूरोप का एक प्रमुख गेटवे भी है। मार्सेई वही शहर है जहां से पहले विश्व युद्ध में हमारे भारतीय सैनिक ने यूरोप में अपने कदम रखे। उनकी बहादुरी की गाथा यूरोप के कई भागों में आज भी याद की जाती है और यह वही शहर है जहां स्वतंत्रता सेनानी वीर सावरकर ने अंग्रेजों की पकड़ से निकलने के लिए समुद्र में छलांग लगाई थी। उनका यह कदम भारत की आजादी के लिए उनके अटूट संकल्प का प्रतीक था। मुझे पिछले वर्ष मार्चे में उनको याद करने का और उन्हें नमन करने का अवसर मिला था। इस बार जब प्रेसिडेंट मैक्रो भारत में एआई इम्पैक्ट समिट के लिए आए हैं तो हमारा सौभाग्य है कि हम उनका स्वागत भारत के गेटवे यानी मुंबई में कर रहे हैं। फ्रेंड्स, भारत और फ्रांस के संबंध बहुत ही विशेष है। फ्रांस भारत के सबसे पुराने स्ट्रेटेजिक पार्टनर्स में से एक है और प्रेसिडेंट मैक्रो के साथ मिलकर हमने इस स्ट्रेटेजिक पार्टनरशिप को अभूतपूर्व गहराई और ऊर्जा दी है। इस विश्वास और साझा विजन के आधार पर आज हम अपने संबंधों को स्पेशल ग्लोबल स्ट्रेटेजिक पार्टनरशिप के रूप में स्थापित कर रहे हैं। यह पार्टनरशिप केवल स्ट्रेटेजिक नहीं है। आज के उथल पुथल से भरे युग में यह ग्लोबल स्टेबिलिटी और ग्लोबल प्रोग्रेस की पार्टनरशिप है। फ्रेंड्स, आज भारत में हेलीकॉप्टर असेंबली लाइन का उद्घाटन इस गहरे विश्वास का एक और उज्जवल उदाहरण है। हमें गर्व है कि भारत और फ्रांस मिलकर माउंट एवरेस्ट की ऊंचाइयों तक उड़ान भरने वाला विश्व का एकमात्र हेलीकॉप्टर भारत में बनाएंगे और ये पूरे विश्व को एक्सपोर्ट भी करेंगे। यानी इंडिया फ्रांस पार्टनरशिप नोज नो बाउंड्रीज। इट कैन रीच फ्रॉम डीप ओशंस टू द टॉलेस्ट माउंटेन। फ्रेंड्स, वर्ष 2026 भारत और यूरोप के संबंधों में एक टर्निंग पॉइंट है। कुछ ही दिन पहले हमने यूरोपियन यूनियन के साथ भारत के इतिहास का सबसे बड़ा और महत्वाकांक्षी फ्री ट्रेड एग्रीमेंट किया। यह फ्री ट्रेड एग्रीमेंट भारत और फ्रांस संबंधों में भी अभूतपूर्व गति लाएगा। आपसी निवेश को बढ़ावा देने के लिए आज हम एग्रीमेंट कर रहे हैं जिससे हमारे लोगों और हमारी कंपनीज को डबल टैक्स न देना पड़े। इन सभी पहलों से आपसी ट्रेड, इन्वेस्टमेंट और मोबिलिटी को नई ऊर्जा मिलेगी और यही शेयर्ड प्रॉस्पेरिटी का रोड मैप है। फ्रेंड्स, इंडिया फ्रांस ईयर ऑफ इनोवेशन के लॉन्च से अब हम अपनी स्ट्रेटेजिक साझेदारी को पार्टनरशिप ऑफ द पीपल बनाने जा रहे हैं, क्योंकि इनोवेशन आइसोलेशन में नहीं, कोलैबोरेशन से होता है। इसलिए इंडिया फ्रांस ईयर ऑफ इनोवेशन में हमारा लक्ष्य लोगों के बीच संपर्क को मजबूत करने का है। डिफेंस हो या क्लीन एनर्जी, स्पेस हो या इमर्जिंग टेक्नोलॉजीज, हर क्षेत्र में हम अपनी इंडस्ट्री और इनोवेटर्स को कनेक्ट करेंगे। स्टार्टअप्स और एमएसएमईज के बीच मजबूत नेटवर्क बनाएंगे। हमारे स्टूडेंट्स और रिसर्चर्स के आदान प्रदान को और सुगम बनवाएंगे और इसके साथ साथ जॉइंट इनोवेशन के नए सेंटर भी तैयार करेंगे। फ्रेंड्स, आज हम क्रिटिकल मिनरल्स, बायोटेक्नोलॉजी और एडवांस मटेरियल्स में अपना सहयोग और प्रबल कर रहे हैं। हम इंडो फ्रेंच सेंटर फॉर एआई इन हेल्थ, इंडो फ्रेंच सेंटर फॉर डिजिटल साइंस एंड टेक्नोलॉजी और नेशनल सेंटर ऑफ अलायंस फॉर स्किलिंग इन एरोनॉटिक्स लॉन्च करने जा रहे हैं। और यह मात्र इंस्टीट्यूशन नहीं है, ये फ्यूचर बिल्डिंग प्लेटफॉर्म्स है। फ्रेंड्स, आज दुनिया अनसर्टेनिटी के दौर से गुजर रही है। ऐसे माहौल में इंडिया फ्रांस पार्टनरशिप एक फोर्स फॉर ग्लोबल स्टेबिलिटी है। हम फ्रांस की एक्सपर्टाइज और इंडिया के स्केल को जोड़ रहे हैं। हम ट्रस्टेड टेक्नोलॉजीज विकसित कर रहे हैं। हम इंटरनेशनल सोलर अलायंस, इंडिया मिडिल ईस्ट यूरोप इकोनॉमिक कॉरिडोर यानी आईमैक और ज्वाइंट डेवलपमेंट प्रोजेक्ट के माध्यम से ह्यूमन डेवलपमेंट सुनिश्चित करेंगे और मल्टीलेटरलिज्म, डायलॉग और डिप्लोमेसी से स्थिरता और समृद्धि के प्रयासों को बल देते रहेंगे। फ्रेंड, भारत और फ्रांस दोनों लोकतांत्रिक मूल्यों, रूल ऑफ लॉ और मल्टीपोलर वर्ल्ड में विश्वास रखते हैं। हम एक मत है कि ग्लोबल इंस्टीट्यूशन के रिफॉर्म से ही ग्लोबल चैलेंजेस का समाधान निकलेगा। यूक्रेन, पश्चिमी एशिया या फिर इंडो पैसिफिक, हम हर क्षेत्र में शांति के सभी प्रयासों का समर्थन करते रहेंगे। आतंकवाद के हर रूप और स्वरूप को जड़ से मिटाना हमारी साझी प्रतिबद्धता है। फ्रेंड्स, भारत और फ्रांस दोनों ही प्राचीन और समृद्ध सभ्यताएं हैं। हम अपने कल्चरल और पीपल टू पीपल टाइज को बहुत महत्व देते हैं। हमें बहुत खुशी है कि युगे युगीन भारत म्यूजियम में हमारा सहयोग रहा है और अब लोथल के नेशनल मैरीटाइम हेरिटेज कॉम्प्लेक्स में भी हम फ्रांस के साथ सहयोग करने जा रहे हैं। भारतीय संस्कृति को फ्रांस के लोगों के और समीप पहुंचाने हम जल्द ही फ्रांस में स्वामी विवेकानंद कल्चरल सेंटर खोलने जा रहे हैं। योर एक्सेलेंसी, भारत फ्रांस पार्टनरशिप के प्रति आपकी गहरी प्रतिबद्धता रही है। मुझे विशेष खुशी है कि आज हम मिलकर अपने संबंधों के एक नए अध्याय का शुभारंभ कर रहे हैं। आइए हम मिलकर वैश्विक स्थिरता और समृद्धि के लिए काम करें। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। मेसी बको।
Thank you, sir. May I now request His Excellency, Mr. Emmanuel Macron, President of the French Republic, to give his remarks to the media.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur le Premier ministre. Cher Narendra Modi, Mesdames, Messieurs les ministres, les ambassadeurs, Mesdames et Messieurs les journalistes. Merci beaucoup, Monsieur le Premier ministre, pour votre accueil chaleureux à l'occasion de ma 4e visite officielle en Inde et un an après
भारत के मेरे चौथे आधिकारिक दौरे पर आपकी गर्मजोशी भरे स्वागत के लिए
l'intelligence artificielle et
और ये मैं एआई के समिट के लिए और भारत और जो आपने कहा, हम जब आप पिछले साल फ्रांस में आए थे और जब हम मार्सेई गए थे और जो आपने मार्सेई के बारे में बात की, वहाँ पर हमने एक भारतीय काउंसुलेट का भी उद्घाटन किया था। भारत और फ्रांस के बीच के द्विपक्षीय जो संबंध है वो बहुत ही ज़्यादा अभूतपूर्व है और सबसे अलग है। जैसे कि हमारी आज की बातचीत हुई थी और जो हम आगे भी करते रहेंगे आज पूरे दिन में, जो ये रिश्ते हैं, जो ये संबंध हैं, उनमें भरोसा है, खुलापन है, महत्वाकांक्षा है और हमने ये भी आज निर्णय लिया है कि हम इस साझेदारी को एक विशेष स्ट्रेटेजिक साझेदारी में बदलेंगे और इसका एक नया दर्जा देंगे। ये इसमें कोई शक नहीं है क्योंकि हमें पूरी तरह से इस रिश्ते में हम भरोसा रखते हैं और पिछले 8 सालों से हम यही कर रहे हैं और हर एक साल हम अलग अलग चीज़ों पर काम करके हमने एक नए रास्ते कई नए रास्ते चुने हैं, जैसे कि तीसरा रास्ता जो हिंद प्रशांत क्षेत्र का हो या फिर तकनीक का हो या फिर और जिसमें हम ऐसा रास्ता है जिसमें कोई भी हेजेमनी ना हो किसी और हम पूरी तरह से कानून में रूल ऑफ लॉ में विश्वास करते हैं और कुछ पिछले सालों में हमने ये दिखाया है दर्शाया है, चाहे वो आईमेक हो जो जिसको हमने मिलकर हमने जिसका हमने शुरुआत करी थी और जिसके लिए हमने एक सेक्रेटेरिएट भी खोला है और फिर हम अगर हम आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस की बात करें, चाहे हम इंटरनेशनल सोलर अलायंस की बात करें, इन पिछले 8 सालों में हमने कई पहल एक साथ उठाए हैं। और अगर मैं द्विपक्षीय रिश्तों पर फिर से आऊँ तो हमारे जो महत्वाकांक्षी रिश्ते हैं उसके लिए हमने नए उद्देश्य तय किए हैं। हमने अपने एसएमईज और स्टार्टअप्स के लिए भी नए उद्देश्य रखे हैं। फ्रांस जो है वो चाहता है कि वह भारत का एक विश्वसनीय साझेदार हो ताकि हमारे जो उद्योग हैं वो एक अद्वितीय सहयोग प्रदान कर सके। अगर हाँ, जैसा कि हमने चाहे राफाल हो, चाहे सबमरीन्स हो, चाहे वो है ये जो हेलीकॉप्टर्स के लिए जो फाइनल असेंबली लाइन जो टाटा एडवांस्ड कंपनी जो है वो मिलकर भारत फ्रांस के साथ कर रही है, या फिर जो 5th जनरेशन के जो फाइटर जेट्स हैं उनके लिए जो इंजन्स हैं उनकी नई सोच, उनके लिए ऐसे कई जो क्षेत्र है जहाँ पर हम मिलकर भारत के साथ काम कर रहे हैं, जहाँ पर हम टेक्नोलॉजी ट्रांसफर में विश्वास करते हैं और जैसा कि आपने चाहा है हमने वैसा ही करने का प्रयास किया है। और हम दोनों ही जो है वह जो रणनीतिक स्वायत्ता है उसमें विश्वास करते हैं। आपने रक्षा क्षेत्र की भी बात करी, मैंने भी उसके बारे में कहा, लेकिन कई ऐसे और भी ऐसे और क्षेत्र हैं जिसमें हमारी जो सोच है वो साझा सोच है, चाहे वो अंतरिक्ष का क्षेत्र क्यों ना हो। कई और इस क्षेत्र में कई सालों से हमारा जो रिश्ते हैं वो बेहतरीन हुए हैं, वो आगे बहुत मजबूत हुए हैं। और इसीलिए जुलाई में जो फ्रांस में एक शिखर सम्मेलन का हम आयोजन करने जा रहे हैं अंतरिक्ष क्षेत्र में, उसमें हमने भारत को भी निमंत्रण दिया है। और चाहे वो सिविल न्यूक्लियर का क्षेत्र हो, उसमें भी चाहे जाता पर हो चाहे एसएमई हो, हमने इन सभी परियोजनाओं में भारत का समर्थन करने का निर्णय लिया है। और हम एक कॉमन रोड मैप के लिए भी हम काम कर रहे हैं ताकि अगर जो वैश्विक जो चुनौतियां उनका सामने करने के लिए, ताकि हम एक ऐसा एक रास्ता निकालें विश्व के लिए जो हेजेमनी से काफ़ी अलग हो। अगर एरोनॉटिक का क्षेत्र ये भी एक अहम क्षेत्र है और जो हम हाई स्पीड रेल नेटवर्क की बात करते हैं वो भी एक क्षेत्र है जिसमें हम एक भरोसेमंद साझेदार के रूप में उभर रहे हैं। अभी जो हाल में ही हमने प्रधानमंत्री जी के साथ जो बातचीत करी है वो काफ़ी महत्वाकांक्षी है और वो नए उद्देश्यों को लेकर साथ आई है। और क्योंकि हम जो चाहते हैं वो हमारे रिश्तों में महत्वाकांक्षा और भी आगे बढ़े। हम चाहते हैं कि बेहतरीन टेक्नोलॉजी ट्रांसफ़र हो और भी ज़्यादा टेक्नोलॉजी ट्रांसफ़र हो। और इस भारत के प्रधानमंत्री के साथ हम आज जो है वो आज जो हम इनोवेशन ईयर का जो उद्घाटन करने जा रहे हैं, हम चाहते हैं कि हमारे जो निवेशक हों, चाहे वो हमारे स्टार्टअप्स हों, चाहे हमारी कंपनियां हों, वो R&D सेंटर्स हों या और सेंटर्स हो, मिलकर काम करें। ये पूरी तरह से हमारी जो सोच के अनुरूप है, जो और जिन पर हमारे जो मंत्रीगण हैं उन्होंने अपनी बैठकों में जिन पर बातचीत करी है। अगर आपने जो एक स्वास्थ्य के क्षेत्र में AI की जो बात करी है, हम कल मैं एम्स अस्पताल में इसका उद्घाटन करूंगा, और ताकि हम जो ये नवाचार है या इनोवेशन है, ये हमारी जो संबंध है उसके केंद्र में हो, हम हमारी अर्थव्यवस्थाओं की वृद्धि के केंद्र में हो। नवाचार, इनोवेशन जो किसी भी तकनीक के केंद्र में हो, और जो हमारे 2047 के जो हमारे हॉराइजन रोड मैप है उसके भी पूरी तरह से अनुरूप है। वो पूरी तरह से हमारे जो उद्देश्य है उनको परिभाषित करता है, और जो हमारे लिए महत्वपूर्ण है। चाहे आपने शोध की बात करी, टेक्नोलॉजी की बात करी, हमारे विद्यार्थियों के आदान प्रदान की बात करी है। कल दिल्ली में मैं कई उच्च स्तरीय जो हमारे विश्वविद्यालयों और वैज्ञानिकों के बीच में जो एक बैठक होने जा रही है रश के अंतर्गत, उसमें मैं भाग लूंगा। मेरे ख्याल से पिछले कुछ साल में शायद हमारी जो व्यापार है या हमारे जो संबंध है वो बहुत तेज़ी से आगे नहीं बढ़ पाए, लेकिन मुझे लगता है कि धीरे धीरे ये हमारे जो संबंध है बहुत तेज़ी से आगे बढ़ रहे हैं। और हम चाहते हैं, और हमने कई ऐसे क्षेत्रों को हमने जो है उनको हमने आइडेंटिफाई करा है कि उन क्षेत्रों को हमें तेज़ी लानी चाहिए ताकि ये जो संबंध है और भी बेहतरीन और भी आगे जाएं। इसमें हम ट्रांसिट वीज़ा की भी हमने बात करी है जो फ्रांस में के लिए लेना पड़ता है, और हम इस पर अध्ययन करेंगे कि कैसे इसको हटाया जा सकता है। कल मैं एक फ्रेंच इंस्टीट्यूट में नए जो सांस्कृतिक मध्यस्थ हैं उनसे भी बातचीत करूंगा, कल्चरल मीडिएटर से बातचीत करूंगा, क्योंकि फ्रांस और भारत दो ऐसे देश हैं जिनको विश्व को बहुत कुछ देने के लिए है। आज जो हम गेटवे ऑफ इंडिया पे जिस तरीके से हम रोशनी करेंगे और वहाँ पे जो हमने कार्यक्रम का आयोजन किया है वो भी इसी के वो भी दर्शाता है कि कितना हमारे देशों के बीच में संबंध जो है वो नज़दीकी है। और हम इस जो एंटरटेनमेंट इंडस्ट्री, क्रिएटिव इंडस्ट्री में भी हमने ये कहा है कि हमें को प्रोडक्शन करने चाहिए, और ये एक हमने एक महत्वाकांक्षा, नया उद्देश्य अपनी क्रिएटिव इंडस्ट्रीज को दिया है, क्योंकि हमारी जो सोच है वो बिल्कुल एक जैसी है, चाहे वो सोच भारत के लिए हो या पूरे क्षेत्र के लिए हो या हिंद प्रशांत क्षेत्र के लिए हो, चाहे वो व्यापार के लिए क्यों ना हो, हमारी सोच जो है वो उसमें बहुत तालमेल है। हम पूरी तरह से खुले और व्यापार पर करते हैं, इसीलिए यूरोपियन यूनियन और भारत के बीच में जो FTA हुआ है उसका हम स्वागत करते हैं, और इसमें हम चाहेंगे कि वो जल्द से जल्द आगे बढ़े। और हमारी सोच जो है वो बहुपक्षवाद पर भी पूरी तरह से तालमेल रखती है। कल मैं आपके साथ होऊंगा, और पिछले साल प्रधानमंत्री मोदी जी फ्रांस में थे। हम पूरी तरह से वैश्विक प्रतिस्पर्धा में एक साथ मिलकर आगे बढ़ना चाहते हैं, और मुझे लगता है कि हम ऐसे मॉडल दुनिया को दे सकते हैं कैसे एक दूसरे के साथ काम किया जाता है। और इस संबंध में मैं कहना चाहता हूँ कि हम दोनों चाहते हैं कि हम ऐसे आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस का निर्माण हो जो एक दूसरे का सम्मान करे, जो लोगों का सम्मान करे, जो भूपक्षवाद का सम्मान करे, और जो अलग अलग भाषाएं हैं उनका सम्मान करे, क्योंकि हमारा विश्व जो है वो विविध है, उसमें बड़ी अलग अलग तरह के लोग, अलग अलग चीज़ें होती हैं। लोगों की संस्कृति अलग है और हम चाहेंगे कि जो एल्गोरिदम्स हों वो पारदर्शी हों, वो ट्रांसपेरेंट हों, खुले हों। और ये भूपक्षवाद एक ऐसा भूपक्षवाद है जो जिसका हम इस्तेमाल बड़े बड़े जो संघर्ष है विश्व में उसका समाधान करने में भी इस्तेमाल करना चाहते हैं, जो पूरी तरह से संयुक्त राष्ट्र चार्टर के अनुरूप हों। हम चाहते हैं कि हम अपने जो प्रयास हैं वो एक साथ लाकर कि जो यूक्रेन में जो लोगों के ऊपर या सिविल इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर है उन पर जो हमले हो रहे हैं उनके लिए मिलकर हम काम करें ताकि उनको रोका जा सके। और हम चाहते हैं कि हम आतंकवाद के खिलाफ भी अपनी लड़ाई को बनाए रखें और हम सभी जो आतंकवादी समूह हैं उनको हम नकारते हैं। और इस साल इस 2026 की अगर हम बात करें तो ये जो वर्ष है ये हमारे संबंधों में और तेजी लाने वाला संबंध है। आप ब्रिक्स की अध्यक्षता कर रहे हैं, हम फ्रांस जो है वो G7 की अध्यक्षता कर रहा है और इसीलिए मैंने इसी संदर्भ में प्रधानमंत्री मोदी को G7 शिखर सम्मेलन में आमंत्रित किया है। और इसी भावना को ध्यान में रखते हुए हम इस G7 के समिट से पहले हम कुछ बैठकें करना चाहते हैं जो अंतर्राष्ट्रीय मुद्दों पर होगा, और जो हमारे G7 के जो उद्देश्य है, एजेंडा है, वो असमानताओं को कम करने का होगा ताकि हम मिलकर एक द्विपक्षीय बैठकें कर भी इस शिखर सम्मेलन से पहले, तो ताकि हम अपने जो एक ऐसी बैठक भी उसके अंतर्गत करेंगे जिसमें भारत के जो युवा हैं और फ्रांस के युवा हैं, वैज्ञानिक हैं, भारत के वैज्ञानिक हैं और G7 देशों के जो युवा और वैज्ञानिक हैं वो मिलकर नवाचार में जो उन्होंने काम किया है उसको परिणाम हमारे सामने रखें। ये मैं कहूँगा वो बिल्कुल पूरी तरह से जो प्रधानमंत्री मोदी ने कहा है उसका पूरक है कि हम कैसे अपने संबंधों को बेहतरीन करना चाहते हैं, उसको में वृद्धि लाना चाहते हैं। हमारी जो साझेदारी है वो स्थिर है और वो पूरी तरह से सबके सामने है, जो लोगों के लिए है और जिसके परिणाम जो है वो बहुत बेहतरीन रह चुके हैं, लेकिन इसको हम और भी बढ़िया करना चाहते हैं। खासतौर पर चाहे व्यापार हो या कई ऐसे और क्षेत्र हों जिसमें मुझे लगता है कि हम मिलकर विश्व को बहुत कुछ दे सकते हैं। हम बड़े बड़े कनेक्टिविटी इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर हो या टेक्नोलॉजी हो, उसमें हम बहुत ठोस परिणाम इसमें ला सकते हैं। और इन चीज़ों पर हमने प्रधानमंत्री मोदी जी के साथ बातचीत भी करी है। और क्योंकि हम दोनों इस समय दो बड़े संगठनों की अध्यक्षता कर रहे हैं इस साल, तो हम इसमें भी हम तालमेल ला सकते हैं, हम अपनी सोच में कन्वर्जेंस ला सकते हैं। धन्यवाद।
Thank you, sir. With that, ladies and gentlemen, we come to the close of this session. Thank you for your presence.
All right, we saw that bonhomie, the strong hug between Prime Minister Modi and the French President Emmanuel Macron, the camaraderie there. But the big news is that Prime Minister Modi has launched the India-France Year of Innovation with the French President Emmanuel Macron. And my colleague Vishnu so much are joining me live. Vishnu, earlier we were talking about just defense, but it looks like it's not just defense. There's critical minerals, AI, solar energy, and all of that under the ambit of the India-France Year of Innovation that both the leaders just launched.
No, absolutely. And, this is very much along the lines of what I heard when I was in France the last time Prime Minister Modi visited over there. An expansive agreement or bilateral statement between the two sides. They've declared, as you mentioned, the India-France Year of Innovation. So the high-tech cooperation between India and France will continue. They're looking at expanding cooperation for MSMEs. They're looking at high-tech sectors. They're certainly looking at aviation, where for the first time the Airbus H125 helicopter is going to be manufactured in India. It's a civilian helicopter. The final assembly line will be over here in India. That's something that's going to be done with the Tatas. The Tatas and Airbus, the H125 is an Airbus product. The Tatas and Airbus already have another deal going. which is a very big one, which is for C-295 transport aircraft as well. So that partnership is in fact one that works well. India and France have elevated their partnership to a special global strategic partnership. I dare say this is just adding words to what has already been an extremely robust strategic partnership between the two sides. But from nuclear to defense, from education to AI, India and France are absolutely close. I also found it very, very interesting that Prime Minister Modi would refer to Marseille and the visit and the role of Indian soldiers in fighting for France in the First World War. It's something I've tracked very, very closely. It's something that's incredibly important to our military history. And it's wonderful to see both the leaders referring to the role of Indian soldiers way back in the First World War, Marseille and other parts of France.
Right, Vishnu, of course, and cultural ties taking the epicenter at the meet there. Right now, slipping into a very short break, but come right back. Lost line for you.
Made in India क्यों नहीं? हमारे पास क्या है? Mustard oil. It is our flagship oil.
और हमें गर्व है कि 1933 से हम पी मार्क कच्ची घानी मस्टर्ड ऑयल का उत्पादन कर रहे हैं। इस मूल्यवान स्वदेशी प्रोडक्ट को बनाने में हमने खुद को समर्पित किया है पीढ़ियों से।
माँ भी हमेशा पी मार्क मस्टर्ड ऑयल में ही खाना बनाती थी।
कुछ तो बात है इस दिल में। P Mark, the mustard specialist since 1933.
बरसों से सरसों।
Straight from the heart of the newsroom to the core of the stories shaping your world. Join me, Gargi Raut, as I track all the developments as they break. Live from the NDTV newsroom, weekdays at 4 p.m.
इनको यहाँ से जाना ही होगा।
जय मां दुर्गा! आज क्यों रोए?
There is no bigger battle in 2026. And nobody has reported Bengal like I have. Buckle up for an unforgettable election thriller. Will the BJP breach Mamta's fortress?
TMC जावे, BJP आसमे।
Can Didi fight off her life's biggest challenge?
BJP double engine সরকার এই লড়াই বাঁচতে হবে।
Battleground Bengal with Manogya Loiwal.
Made in India क्यों नहीं? हमारे पास क्या है? Mustard oil. It is our flagship oil.
और हमें गर्व है कि 1933 से हम पी मार्क कच्ची घानी मस्टर्ड ऑयल का उत्पादन कर रहे हैं। इस मूल्यवान स्वदेशी प्रोडक्ट को बनाने में हमने खुद को समर्पित किया है पीढ़ियों से।
माँ भी हमेशा पी मार्क मस्टर्ड ऑयल में ही खाना बनाती थी।
कुछ तो बात है इस दिल में। P Mark, the mustard specialist since 1933.
बरसों से सरसों।
Across the fault lines of AI and geopolitics, he is shaping how the world responds to its most transformative force. Meet Chris Lehan at the NDTV In.AI Summit on the NDTV network in partnership with Startup Policy Forum.
Alright team, our new order show is ready. Now we need a promo. Something cool, something sharp.
Well, I'm sure we'll be having outstanding reviews, solid suggestions,
expert advice, the latest trends. It's a lot simpler.
Very good evening. You're watching Nationwide at 6. I'm Gauri Dwivedi. The big story that we are tracking this evening for you continues to be the mother's fight. A mother's fight for the justice to be given to her son who was mowed down by a speeding Scorpio. What really happened? Why is it that Sahil lost his life? And more importantly, where does the law stand? We're going to get you all those details about as we fight for justice for Sahil. Now, this is a story of a mother's fight for justice. On 3rd of February, 23-year-old Sahil Dhaneshwara lost his life in a horrific road accident that took place near Dwarka. Sahil was mowed down by a speeding Scorpio in a narrow lane and he died on the spot. Police say that an SUV driven by a minor without a license hit Sahil's motorcycle head-on